Welcome back, everybody, to High Heel Diaries talk show. I'm your host, Natalie Wilson. Thank you so much for coming back to watch another one of our videos where we are women or men inspiring women or men one story at a time. Thank you so much for being patient with me. You know, I haven't had a video in a little while, but I've been doing what I do best, and I'm self-caring. I've been self-caring. And bringing forward guests that have their stories to share as a way of inspiring you is what I really love to do. That was the very beginning of the things that I was doing with High Heel Diaries when I started in 2016. And I'm so happy to be here again right now with you to introduce our next guest, my next guest, Dennis Pellington. Hey, Dennis.
Hello.
So we are here today. We're going to talk a little bit about his story, and this. I'm very honored to bring this story to you because not only is he my first male guest, but it's to show that men can and should be vulnerable as well. It's a way of showing your strength. It's not something that you should be ashamed of. Showing your strength, showing weakness, I should say, if you want to call it that, is strength. So here we are today, and we're going to get right into the story. So Dennis, I always like to start with some icebreaker questions.
Okay.
Because going in to start talking about your personal journey, it could be heavy, and so I like to just lighten it up from jump.
I agree.
So tell me, what's the most important thing in life to you? And that's could be a big question because I'm sure there's a lot. But
yes, and you're right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that stand out to me, but a lot of individuals like myself, many other of my acquaintances of my own, like to put it in order. So my order would be obviously my spirituality, because my fear of God and my love of God at the same time, it's equal to me. I want to make sure that's met on a daily basis. And after that, right away, is my family. My family mean a lot to me. First and foremost, my wife and then my kids. I want to make sure that they're happy at all times. I always tell them the same thing all the time. If you smile, I smile. So I want to make sure that's a day-to-day thing for them.
Isn't it crazy, like how there's just nothing that you wouldn't do for your children? It's like absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like lay my life down.
Exactly. It's like it's a knee-jerk reaction right away. You don't want to not nourish them on a daily basis. It's just it's a non-thinking situation where you have to. There's no question to it. So
and I like how you put God first, because at the end of the day, he has to be, because without him, nothing else is gonna fall in line.
100%.
Right?
I agree with you.
Like people would say, "Oh, my children, my wife, my children, my wife first. God next." Yes, your life is about the here and now on earth,
right?
But we wouldn't have this life without him.
Correct.
Right?
100%.
Who is your personal hero? I always love this question.
Great question. Personal hero. To be honest with you, it'd have to be my wife. It'd have to be my wife.
Sweet.
There's a lot of reasons to that. Personal reasons, obviously, that I would love to tell you some more about, which I am going to, I feel. With Natalie, for sure, she'll get that out of me. So I'm happy to say, it's easy for me to say it's my wife.
And why?
Why?
I mean, you can give me short answers, but why generally is she?
She has never failed me. She's always stood by my side, regardless of the situations we may go through. And everybody goes through ups and downs, regardless of any situation
100%.
or the day-to-day. She stood by strong, and my solid rock on a day-to-day basis.
How long have you guys been together?
25 years, going on 26 this year.
So married or together?
Married.
Married.
Together, 29 going on 30.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm sure she'll be so happy to hear that.
High school sweetheart.
If she doesn't know already.
Yes.
Nice. If you knew you could not fail while changing one thing in the world, what would you do?
Well, you're bringing it really hard now.
Get your thinking caps on, brother.
Through my own experiences. I always want to equate it to my own experiences. If I can change something that would affect everybody as a whole in my life versus as well as everybody else's, is perception of, I would say, diversity, equity, and inclusion, because that's huge for me. Because there's a lot of different circumstances that individuals would go through in life that they feel.
Dogs. Sorry, this is my home studio, so
It's okay.
It is what it is.
So I feel that that's very important, because I feel that individuals in their normal day-to-day life are always fighting some form of battle
100%.
of not being included, not being equally represented, not being heard. Like, for instance, me at work, if I'm at work and I see something that's happening, or an infraction to an employee, I'm going to do my best to make sure that they're included properly and represented properly. So equity, diversity, and inclusion is huge, because it would solve a lot of the issues in the world.
Do you play a role similar to that at work?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm in the HR field. Now, I didn't always come from the HR field. I started out in the operations, warehouse management, managing health and safety, dealing with employee concerns, also dealing with COVID. I was managing a lot of the COVID protocols at all of Metro. I can use my operational experiences to assist those in their circumstances, because now I understand what they're going. I understand their day-to-day, because I've spoken to them before. Right. And now that I have that HR hat, it's like some match made in heaven. Yeah. So they already know me. They understand that I'm going to do my best to solve every circumstance that they may come, or do my best to help assist them, guide them in the right direction. So I love the direction that I'm going in regards to HR. Well, that's good.
So you spoke a bit about your family. Tell me a little bit about that. You're a dad of 4.
Well, I practically have a football team, but my wife, obviously, Arlene, I'm married for, like I said, 25 going 26. But I also have 4 children. I have a daughter, 2 sons, and my last daughter, so 4 total.
2 daughters, 2 boys, 2.
Right. I didn't plan it that way always, because they're all 3 years apart. But it's fantastic that way, because now each person can piggyback off each other and relate to each other with their experiences. So I love that idea.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good age span between. Right. I think they're quite independent, like 3.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So we talked about your line of work. And I know that in itself would take you, with your big family and your line of work, will take a lot out of you. But so tell me about something that was going on with your body. Let's go there. And when it started to show that it wasn't acting right. Well, first, before I go there, are you the person that, I know women are like that and men are not so much, but do you pay attention to what's going on in your body? Like when you feel something, you're like, no, I don't feel right, going to the doctor.
I'm 100% that way in the beginning. Number one, because the male side of me says, you know what, you can get through it. You can do anything. Back in the day, I used to call myself, not gonna lie, Wolverine. I don't know if anybody knows the Wolverine character, always heals itself, gets injured, heals himself, just keeps going. Never unstoppable. That's how I felt. I was unstoppable. Nobody can get in my way. I'm just so driven, and I'm going to do what I need to do. I omitted my health because everything can be worked out.
So if you felt something, you're like, okay, I'm feeling something, but it'll go away?
Correct.
Okay. So then now here comes some of the things that are starting to show you that, hey, I'm not going away.
Right. So that's where the story starts. One day my wife told me, hey, come with me to a doctor's appointment, because she had a doctor's appointment that day. Prior to that, I found there's a lot of things that I was feeling, but I omitted because of that male type of personality.
What were you feeling?
I was feeling like, for instance, I was urinating a lot.
Pay attention, people.
Right, I was urinating a lot, and I felt that maybe it's because I drank a lot. I'm gonna say juice at the time, like fruit juice. I love my fruit juice. I drank a lot, but I think I was urinating more than I was actually taking in. Okay, which is kind of weird. I found it kind of weird. And then also my skin started to get a little bit darker. I thought it was because it's summertime, but why am I so dark in the winter? And dry and itchy. Like my hips were itching, and I was wondering why. doesn't matter how many showers I took, it's always itching on my hip. I thought it was nothing. Because I was traveling for work at the time. And then my wife said, come to the doctor's with me because I have an appointment. I just got back from a traveling trip from work because I also traveled from work to install systems.
How long would you say this was? How long ago?
In 2005.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to the hospital, went to the doctor's office, did blood work, went back to New York for a trip for my work, came back, and my phone was ringing off the hook in the house. Mm-hmm. And it was my family doctor stating that, Dennis, where are you? I said, well, I'm at home. Why? He goes, well, your blood work doesn't look good. It looks like you are at end-stage renal kidney failure. End stage, what is that? Do I need to drink more water? I said. Yeah. He goes, no, you need to come to the hospital now.
So he's saying it looks like this is what it is.
Yeah, he says it looks this way. We'll do some more testing. So he said, actually, I'm sending an ambulance for you right now. I said, no, what do you need to do that?
So what were you thinking? Yeah, what were you thinking?
I was thinking it's wrong. Let's just go get the blood test, work it out. I'm perfectly fine. So that's what I did. It shocked me for a bit because obviously the first thing I thought was, okay, well, it may or may not be wrong, but I've built myself up and my family to a point, like I've done so much for work, and I was at a position where I felt that I'm truly wanted or demanded for. So I said, well, this can't happen right now. This is bad timing. I don't want anything wrong. Yeah. I literally took it out of my mind like nothing's wrong.
Yeah. So you go into like the mode of thinking about tomorrow, the next day, the family, the people at work.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
100%. That's what I did. So I didn't take it as anything really serious because neither did I know much about it. I mean, who really thinks about end stage renal kidney failure on a daily basis? Nobody really does until you're in the situation. Yeah. So I went to the hospital as prescribed.
By ambulance, or you cut yourself?
No, I drove.
No, of course you did.
I'm a man. Come on. So I drove down.
Why the hoopla with the ambulance? Let me just take myself.
Oh, yeah.
Never mind what the doctor says.
Why the grand entrance? Yeah. Come on. So what I did, I drove down there, parked the car, and went into the hospital through the emergency as he described to me. So I walked past literally about 10 to 11 doctors. Walked past them, they're looking for somebody outside. I went to the emergency counter and I said, hi, my name is Dennis Pellington. I'm supposed to come here. My doctor told me to come. He says, what? You're Dennis Pellington? I said, well, yeah, I'm Dennis Pellington. I'm here. He goes, and she waved to the rest of the doctors and said, hey, he's right here. So I said, oh no.
So they're waiting for you.
So they're waiting for me and they asked me, who are you? And I said, Dennis Pellington. And they said, you're Dennis Pellington? He said, let's go. Did some testing. Turns out that, yes, my blood levels were through the roof. And that's when my life changed, literally.
So when your blood levels, just give me a little background here, when your blood levels are beyond a certain, like, is it your blood count? What that you're talking about, blood levels?
The level that they were looking at was the creatine. Creatine level is the level of toxins in your system. Your body's natural tendency is to excrete toxins through your kidneys.
Oh, okay.
It filters it all out and excretes it to the form of urine. So that's where you pee. So I was peeing a lot, which is fine, but it wasn't filtering anything, which is why the toxins.
So it wasn't getting rid of the toxins.
It wasn't getting rid of any toxins, which explains itching.
I see.
Which explains the darkening of the skin because of that much toxins in your system. And the level that I was at was literally close to basically almost death.
Wow.
At that point. Okay. It affected me.
That's why you needed you there ASAP.
Right. Okay. The level was 1600.
Jeez.
Plus. And the normal person like yourself or whoever else, a normal person walking without any ailments, would be around 80 to 100.
Holy.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So I was walking around as a ticking time bomb, literally just waiting for something to happen.
So they brought you in. Wow. I'm glad you got there then. So they brought you in and started doing some further testing?
Correct.
Yeah.
Further testing, because there's a lot of other readings that they have to read on. Your urea, your parathyroid functions, because sometimes with such high toxins in your system, your parathyroid gland starts to react. And calcium.
And what is that? I mean,
it's in your neck.
Okay.
The parathyroid glands in your neck. It helps to. It looks for calcium. It tells your system, okay, calcium needs to go there, calcium over here, and whatever else. So that was overacting. So it was looking for calcium because my kidneys weren't filtering down the milk or the calcium small enough for my body to absorb. It was just milk in, milk out. So nothing was being absorbed. So my bones start to become very brittle. You know, like they say, if your bones become like cheese, you know, like cheese that has all those small little holes in it, it was like that. So that's why your body needs that in order to be more solid bone. Yeah. So it was overacting, so I was looking for calcium the whole time, but I had to get prepped for dialysis at the same time. So they prepped me for dialysis.
So this is all right away as you've gone?
Right away. Because the first time they recognize that your blood levels are like the way they are, and you need dialysis, which is the treatment. It's life-sustaining treatment that they use to filter your system because your kidneys are not filtered.
Yeah, I want to share this information. I'm just going to pause you there for a second about dialysis, just to give you it's like a formal description. Dialysis helps your body get rid of waste and extra fluids in your blood.
Correct.
You just say correct, yes. But it cannot do everything that healthy kidneys do. This means that you may have some of the health problems that come with kidney failure, even though you are on dialysis.
Correct. Different
Types of dialysis: hemodialysis, which I think is what you said.
Yes.
One treatment for kidney failure. That's one treatment for kidney failure, and this type of treatment uses a machine to clean your blood.
Correct.
And then you have peritoneal dialysis. Yeah. I've learned a lot about this. Peritoneal dialysis is a treatment that cleans your blood by using the lining of your belly area.
Correct.
Oh, interesting. Called your peritoneum, and a cleaning solution called dialysate.
You're very good.
Well, Wikipedia is very good. Okay, so you're going through now. Which one are you doing? The chemo?
I was doing hemodialysis, and it was through obviously catheters that they installed into your whatever part where they want to put the catheter in the main source of blood, a heavy flow of blood, so they can filter properly. They want a large flow to come in, as well as a flow. It can handle large flow coming back out. So the system would take the bad blood in, fully toxic blood, filter it to the dialysis machine with a solution that they put in there and a filter.
Okay.
So it filters all the blood and it puts the good blood back into you.
So basically, it's taking out the toxins and putting your blood back in, the better healthier blood back in.
That process also, it's great, but it's not so great because it filters everything. For instance, your calcium.
So it takes out stuff that you need.
Exactly, which is why the description was saying it's not the greatest because it takes other things out too. So it took a lot of the calcium out of me. So, which is why my parathyroid gland was looking, say, hey, wait, I can't find you, calcium. Where are you? So if your body is telling you, I need calcium, where do you think it's going to look? Where's the next place, do you think?
Your bones.
Correct.
I got it right.
She's a doctor.
Wow.
So it was looking in my bones.
Yeah.
Which is why my bones started getting brittle. But for some crazy reason in my body, it was looking for calcium in my 8th vertebrae in my back. Correct. So
the 8th, not the 7th or the 6th.
No, the 8th vertebrae.
Okay.
Just there. Because everywhere else was fine. It's just there.
Why?
I'm not sure. They still don't.
The doctors haven't said why. They still haven't said why. Area?
They still can't figure it out. Okay. They really can't. There's a lot of things that they can't figure out.
Yeah.
But in that process, it was literally eating the bone, 8th vertebrae in my spinal bone, away to about half. So one day when I was coaching basketball, because I coach basketball all the time, I stumbled over it. And when I stumbled over, I felt nothing from here down.
Wow.
I said, well, what's going on? I tried to stand up. I couldn't stand up. Probably couldn't walk properly. So that's when I went to my doctor. At the time, it's my nephrologist. It's nephrologist is your transplant doctor that takes care of your dialysis treatments, make monitors, all those. So he said, okay, I'm going to send you to a specialist. Send me to a specialist for my spinal cord. So at that time, when I went there, they did a CT scan and then an MRI on my back, same day. And they came back saying that, yes, it was eating away your 8th vertebrae, and now there's creating a tumor around your spine and crushing it.
Oh, goodness.
Which is why I couldn't feel anything from here down.
Oh.
Right. So I said, okay, so what do we got to do? They said surgery. But first, let's take care of the whole parathyroid gland situation that's causing it. Let's go to the root first. So they then went into my neck. You'll see a slice right here across here.
May I see?
You see that?
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. They cut my neck and took out, there's 4. They took out 3.5 of the parathyroid glands because that's how active it was. And they left the piece primarily because they still want it to work. They don't want it all gone. So they took out 3.5 and left the balance. Sewed me back up, left that day. A week later, it was supposed to be my surgery for my spinal cord. And I start to feel like tingling in my feet and feeling back again. Okay, that's strange, but I still have the surgery. Let's go in. So I went in a week later and I told them, well, I felt everything now. Like all my feelings came back. So I said, okay, let's just do another test just to be sure everything's okay before the actual surgery. They looked and did the MRI and they came back to the room and said, Dennis, we have to do surgery at all. The tumor is now dissolved. The body has absorbed it and the bone has grown back. I kid you not.
What?
They're still studying why it happened to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
God
It grew
working.
back, and I feel perfectly fine. So I didn't have
So
to
it happened and then it didn't happen. It went away.
Right.
A
So they're still
miracle.
studying. Yeah, still studying.
So do you think it had anything to do with? I guess not, because they took away 3.5 of your thyroids, right? Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, they took out the parathyroid glands, but through the form of dialysis and the pills that I was taking, medication, which is mandatory when you're in the situation, they really fortified my calcium, which helped with my body saying, okay, now I got some calcium in me, let's put it towards where it's supposed to go. And they made sure to put it in pill form because now by the time it dissolved, it's small enough for the body to break it down and go into your system versus before the calcium was going through my body as I drank it or whatever I ate, and it wasn't broken down enough for the body to filter and go into the bones or whatever else. In this case, it just went straight to my bones and everything was perfect after that. So I didn't need surgery after that. Okay.
So you didn't need surgery. Then tell me, going forward after this healed on its own, the issue with the end stage renal kidney failure, is that getting better or is that still what it was? Like it still is what it is?
End stage kidney failure is exactly what it is. So it's a life thing. There's no true resolve to that. So I'm still living with my life as a dialysis potential kidney transplant individual. The only thing that can relieve some of those issues is getting a potential kidney transplant. Dialysis is, like I said before, is not 100% what it's not 100% fixed for you. It's not. Right. It's good days and there's really bad days. I did dialysis, the first one I first started, 3 days a week at the hospital, which means I was still working in my job and I was still going from work to Toronto General, get there for about 5 o'clock and stay from 5 o'clock to about 11 o'clock on dialysis.
Well, how
many days a week? Drive home. 3 days a week at that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a minimum of 3 days a week when you first start dialysis, and the more dialysis you do, the better it is for you because it's more filtering.
Right. So it's slowly getting rid of the toxins in your body.
The normal pattern is 3 days a week at 4 hours per treatment. Yeah.
So I'm just reading that basically end stage it's just a short term we're going to use instead of saying all of it. It's a long term chronic kidney disease.
Right.
Your body can no longer support your body's needs.
Right.
Your kidneys can no longer support your body's needs. And then, of course, now there's the talk, which we will get to, about what can, I mean, it doesn't fully go away, but it can prolong your life if you go through certain procedures, which we'll talk about shortly. So now you were going through the dialysis many times a week, getting better, feeling better. Were your skin tone, was that changing, the itchiness, like were you feeling the differences?
I was feeling differences because now I was starting to feel a little more filtered. It's not 100%, because when you're doing dialysis 3 days a week, it's only the base amount of time that you can do. Your normal kidney is usually functions 24 hours, 7 days a week for all your life. Can you imagine your kidney only working 3 days a week with all the food and the things that you eat? That's why they go on a renal diet, to try and reduce the amount of toxins that you consume on a daily basis.
Okay. So lead me up to, you can tell me more up to the decision that was made, which changed the course for the better, but just lead me up to that. So is it that you were still going to the hospital many days a week until?
Yes. It's standard that you have to have normal checkups with your doctor. Always follow them. You must follow them, because they're you're not the only one that's out there with kidney failure. There's thousands and thousands of individuals that are in your situation. Now, if you're not compliant with your health, with the doctors, when they set appointments and they set schedules and they give you medication, they can't professionally take care of you properly.
You got to do your part.
You got to do your part. You have to do your part. Which I encourage everybody out there to make sure, if you have appointments or medication to take them accordingly. Don't leave them alone. Follow it. You're only hurting yourself, and now the professionals cannot monitor you properly. So I was doing that. So I had appointments at that time once every 2 weeks. Toronto General, back and forth, which is taking a lot, because I mean, you have work, you have family, and everything else. It weighs on you.
So around the ages of your children around this time, I know this is spanned for a good amount of years, but when it all started and you're going through this rigorous treatment routine, like how old were your children approximately?
So I had Shayna already. Shayna, my daughter. She then was Miles. Miles, I was very concerned because he was just newborn.
So Shayna would have been about how old?
Shayna would have been 7 years old.
Okay.
Well, 6 going on 7.
Okay.
Miles would have been 4. But then I had Ethan.
Newborn.
In 2005. Shortly after I already had kidney failure.
Okay.
So he was born in 2005, in September. I found that I had kidney failure in 2005 in February. So it was really tough.
Yeah. Is there any, do you know if there's any hereditary, is it hereditary? Is it something that you guys have talked about, that doctors told you whether it is or not?
So we have gone through testing. The family regularly goes for testing because they could potentially have any form of issues later on in the future. In the past, for me, what happens is I had to go into my past and see with who within my family you've had something, because it is a hereditary thing. In many cases, some cases is actually something that you're doing with your lifestyle too. So
similar to cancer.
Exactly.
With breast cancer for me, like it could be that it's environmental, something I used to consume a lot of that now we know is potentially cancerous, or hereditary. Right. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So they get checked regularly.
Okay.
My wife as well, just because we want to lead by example.
Right.
And we want the kids to see that, hey, we're doing our part. We want to make sure you're doing your part and making sure you're taken care of on a daily basis, because it can be hereditary. It may not be them, but it could be their kids or their kids' kids. It can be passed on, which, I mean, in my situation, me as an individual in my situation, I hate the thought of that. But at least we're better prepared, knowledgeable, and make sure that if anything does happen, we are more versed in understanding to what the next steps are, so we can bounce on that right away, and even potentially catch it beforehand.
There's something to say about having gone through something so serious as a parent and raising children, now with yourself leading this life of recovery and
Right.
healing physically and emotionally, I think it really breeds some very strong children
100%.
and better prepared children for the future and the knocks that is indefinitely going to hit our children, right? And so I'm seeing that right now in my kids, how they manage with things and adversity.
It forces them to be
Yeah.
more alert,
Yeah.
more understanding, more grow up a bit quicker.
And sometimes I feel sad about that part of it.
Right.
That they had to see certain things, you know. But again, I think it makes them stronger, and especially for my son, I feel like it's going to make him a more, like for me with my breast cancer, and maybe you for yours and your daughters, for dealing with the opposite sex. I feel like it's going to make my son a more sensitive partner, right?
Yes.
And a lot of young men, you know, can be like this, hands off with females and female issues matters, emotions. But I think it's made him a very much more sensitive young man. He's 16.
Well, that's great. That's something that you want for them to happen, to make sure they understand. There's two sides. I mean, you have to understand their good side, their bad side, every side possible, but you have to be compromising understanding of that. Don't be standoffish. Just try and understand it. And try and work through it. I always tell my kids, if you're ever upset with somebody or don't understand something, don't go to bed upset about it. Always try and talk through it, or ask for advice, or just to hear out of peace of mind. Because when you wake up in the morning, you may not have that opportunity to say, okay, what about this? How comes of this?
That person might not wake up in the morning.
So always never go to bed without trying to figure things out first.
It can be challenging to do that.
It is.
It really
100%.
can be, but it's something I think has to always be, you know, at the back of your mind, to have that thought that tomorrow's never promised.
100%.
Right? And we all know that. I mean, we all know that. Everybody watching knows that. But it's a matter of putting that concept into effect in your daily lives. And the things that you say and you do, or don't say and don't do, for that matter. So, very true. I'm sure there's more you want to say about your treatment process, but for the most part, generally you were going through dialysis. And were you doing anything at home at some point instead of going to the hospital?
Yes. To free my schedule up, what they did was they asked me, hey, Dennis, you're a smart person. You seem very educated. It seems like you can handle yourself very well. What would you think about doing dialysis at home on your own? I said, will the nurse be coming with me? So I said, no. They
sounds
won't.
like a scary thought.
It sounds like it is a scary thought. Because in my mind, I'm saying, wait a minute. That would entail me sticking needles into my arm for dialysis. At the time they put it in my chest before, then they removed it. That's temporary, the catheter there. What they did was a more permanent situation where they put, there's two different ways.
Oh, you're already starting to make me feel weak.
It's two different ways. So they can use your own veins and use one of your smaller veins, attach it to the main artery in your arm, and then that force, the blood force, will now expand that vein to a larger size so it can house that flow of blood that you need from your body, because you're not going to have a long needle that's going to go all the way to your artery, which is very dangerous.
Right, of course.
So they want to use something on the surface. So that vein will expand and get big. I'm all about appearance. So I don't want to have to, when I take off my shirt or put on a t-shirt, see these big ugly things on my arm. It's not that it's ugly or anything, but people ask questions. I have no problem with answering them, but some people don't. Me personally, I didn't want that. So what they did was they put a thing called a graft. The first one is called fistula. The second one is called a graft. I chose to do that, which they use now, a thing that looks like a plastic straw, really bendable.
And
that takes the place of the vein that they would use. They use that for dialysis, and it's underneath your skin.
And this is the fistula or the graft?
Graft.
Okay.
So they put that plastic tube in your arm, and it's either they can do a straight graft or a loop graft. So the loop graft, what I chose, it's the one side where the blood would be coming in, and the other side would be blood would be going back in, back into your system. So one out and one in. So I'd have to take a needle in my arm each night, one on this side and one on this side. Red side for out, blue side for in. And the blood would come out into the machine, filter everything, dialysis, filter everything, and then put it back into my system. It's a constant evolving system.
And how long would you sit there doing that?
Which is great. Good question. Because I did mine for 5 days a week at 7 hours every session.
Tennis.
At night. Yeah, so that's what I did.
7 hours?
I did.
And just sit there, could you walk around with this machine?
No, you can't.
Wow.
It's a big machine, about 3 times as big as this, about yay high. They would, it would sit there in my room, because I chose to put it in because I was going to put it in my separate room. But my wife says, no, I want to see every waking moment that you're doing this. I don't care what it looks like in my room. I want to see you, period. Right. Which I have no problem with that. I agree with her. Because anything can happen to you on the machine, right? Yeah. You can start convulsions, you can do anything can happen. Right. Pass out.
So, when you're talking of something serious, you're talking about removing blood from your body, putting it through something, putting it back in. But if there's a clot, right?
It can be a clot, exactly right. A clot,
air bubble.
Air bubble. Yeah. So many different things that can happen. So I put in my room, I do dialysis from my room, and that's the best thing for me because it's more dialysis. I start to feel a bit more normal that way because it was a better form of dialysis. Think of it, three days a week at 4 hours each session. That's only like 12 hours of dialysis.
And that's what you're doing at the hospital.
At the hospital,
right?
That's
but now
12 hours. Home, I did it for 5 days. 7 hours. That's 35 hours of straight dialysis. That's fantastic. Yes. Right? It's a lot better than before. So I feel have more energy and more, but your skin is still the same way because even with that amount of dialysis, that 1600 dropped to maybe about my creatinine level. Dropped to maybe about 700.
You say that different. Creatinine or creatine? Which is it? How do you say it?
See, a lot of people pronounce it differently. A lot of people pronounce it differently.
So say it again?
Some people say creatine.
Creatine, okay. That's what I know it as. But
my doctor and I say creatinine. Oh, okay. Creatinine.
Well, he's a doctor, so I guess that's the right way to say it.
So I follow him.
Either or.
Yeah, either or. It's all the same thing. Okay. So it's spelled the same way. Yes. So
you're going for longer.
Going for longer. It's a better form of dialysis. It's not 100. It's not like I said. Nothing's 100%. Yeah. But it's made me feel better. Where I can actually get up in the morning. I don't have to worry about doing it on the night, like throughout my day. So now I have more time for work, more time for my family, and I can have my weekends.
And so this is what I was going to ask you about your everyday life, day in the life of Dennis.
Right.
So night times you're doing this. Is it before like bedtime, sleep time, or just in the evening hours after work?
Usually it's like I would have to get on by, I would say by 7. No, say about 8 o'clock, 8, 9 o'clock every single day because, especially during the weekdays, primarily because I have to work at that time at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. Okay. So I got to get up. Yeah. Right. So I got to get up at appropriate time, and when you get off the machine, you're drawn. Like you're weak, like you get up and you feel like you're ready to pass out. How I felt would be more like an individual running a mile nonstop at maybe about 40, 50 kilometers per hour.
You're tired, but you got to go to work shortly.
I got to go to work. So you recoup for about half an hour, get your things on, and get going on the highway to your work. And there's been times where I felt like I was going to pass out. So you got to pull off, sit down, get something to drink, get some electrolytes back into you, and then move on the highway again. Get going. Because my job was very demanding that way too. There are times where I had to turn around and go back home. Many, many times. Right. I said, I just can't do it.
So you're dealing with all this for years, months? Like how long were you dealing with that every day?
Every day. Every day.
For how long?
It was 2005 when I found out. So it went to about 2000 and I would say 10. 2010. Yeah.
So 5 years.
5 years of doing the exact same thing.
My goodness. So let's talk about a little bit, and this is when it really gets to the really deep emotional aspect of being a man and not being able to, or if you were able to do those things that men want to do in the home.
Right.
You know, so tell me about that. It seems like you're either at work or you're on the dialysis machine or trying to get a little snooze and then off to work again. Where did you find the time to be a dad, to, help take care of things around the home, to be a husband, a partner, and even the intimacy part? Where did let's talk about the intimacy part after, but if you want. But tell me about the other parts of doing things around the home and, spending time with your kids.
I grew up in a way that the man has responsibilities. Mm-hmm. Old school, mentality. Jamaican. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I grew up in that way where I still had a responsibility regardless of
what's your ethnicity?
Jamaican.
I've learned Jamaican. Not to use background as a term. It's totally fine. So my apologies. Yeah.
Like I said, and I felt that those responsibilities and those demands of me must be met regardless of anything. Mm-hmm. So I did sacrifice sometimes my own downtime to make sure my family was fine.
But what downtime do you have to sacrifice?
You find it. Like my downtime was between the time when I got home from work, which was say about 5 o'clock in the evenings, till about say 10 o'clock. So those 5 hours, I would have to find something. Find that time, whether it be sitting down at a table eating dinner and helping my kids out with homework, or they have basketball practice, so let's go to basketball practice or soccer practice, whatever it is.
So you would put your dialysis later then, start your dialysis later?
No, it was still starting at the same time, but I fit everything into those 5 hours.
I see.
Right, so I had no choice.
So you're doing dialysis while you're doing some of these things?
No. When I'm on dialysis, I'm on dialysis. Okay. I can't walk or anything. Okay. So, but my main time, other than homework, I can do homework on my dialysis machine. Mm-hmm. But things that I need to be mobile for, I did it within that period of time. Okay. Period.
Then you come home and get on the machine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The main thing for me was that I didn't want my family to feel any form of hiccup, any form of change. I wanted to feel that, hey, this is still dad. Mm-hmm. This is still his, he's still that guy. He's still that rock that you can depend on. Mm-hmm. In some ways, he's still that Uber. But
right, Uber everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a mental thing for me to feel that everything's still the same, regardless of my circumstances. I could still get through it. Mm-hmm. I could still do my job and fulfill the obligations that I gave into myself and my family has given to me still, because they're willing to say, hey, chill, take it easy, we know your situation, relax for once. But I refused because it's my own, not pride, but it's just me saying that I can't bear to see them cry. I can't bear to see them feel upset or not. I couldn't bear it to make them feel that there's a change, or feel that daddy is not the daddy he was before, right? I didn't want that. It really weighed on me. It really, really did.
So my question to you is, when we spoke about building resilient children, did you ever think that let them see it, let them feel, I know they're seeing it. I know they know enough, right? Because they know daddy's got this and he's going to the hospital and he's on dialysis. So did you think that was enough and that's all I want them to feel? And I don't want them to have to feel or go through any more than they have to. So let me try to be as normal as possible.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. I didn't want them to feel any type of hang up or any type of pause at all.
So it's just a protector in you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm 100% that. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure they smile on a day-to-day basis, and they know that.
Right. But were you very diligent about not making things worse for yourself, though? Because, I mean, you can do so much for everybody else, but meanwhile, you still have to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to take care of you. So did any of that suffer? Any of your treatment suffer? Did anything suffer because you were trying to be the strong person?
My treatments didn't suffer, even though in me, I said to myself, "Oh, I can bump it a couple of hours, or I can do it tomorrow." But like I said, my wife was my rock. She didn't allow that. So
like, get on that machine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She'd rather have me around versus not.
Of course.
Right. So she didn't want the alternative. So she stayed on me like a Rottweiler. She was a Rottweiler. So, and she knows it, and I knew it, but I accepted it.
Yeah.
It's not only the individual that's going through the circumstance. No,
absolutely not.
By no means are you the individual who's ill going through that illness on your own. It's your partner too. It's your partner too. Your kids. So if they're ever on you for circumstances, in regards to your health, or upset with you for the choices that you make because you're hindering yourself, don't be mad at me. Celebrate them.
They want to see you heal.
Celebrate them. Yeah. Because without my family, my wife and my kids being so solid for me, I wouldn't be here. I would have. I'm not that I wouldn't give up, because I'm strong. I'm resilient. I'm not even giving up, but I don't think that I'd be further on than I would be today.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question, to be honest with you, is I'm going through all the emotional, physical struggles that you went through. Was there ever a time that you just said, like, this is too much, that you wanted to give up? Did you ever feel that? Even if
yeah. 100%. What are you making me cry for? Just joking.
It's okay to cry. We talked about that in the beginning.
I'll tell you about some tears right now.
Oh yeah.
Trust me.
Listen, listen. Don't get me started. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you're right on that. You hit the nail on the head in regards to, well, I could have given up, and there were vulnerable times where I said, enough is enough. Why more? Why me? Like, I went through every emotion possible.
Why me?
I went through the why me. I didn't do anything wrong. I never took drugs. I never did any of that things that would hinder myself or my family. Never. I was healthy. I was doing sports. I was coaching basketball. I was in good health. And then just like that. So I went to the why me, and I went through the anger moments where I was angry at the world because I would see other people just not caring about themselves and just doing everything that they're not supposed to, constantly drinking, smoking, whatever. I didn't do any of that, but why me? And then I started talking to God.
Yes.
And saying, like, did I do something wrong? I'll tell you a story that I don't want to get too far into things, but before I found out the kidney failure, I went to church with Arlene, my wife. And this has weighed on me for years, even to this day, because I still take it as, wow, this is confirmation. Usually in conventions at church, they would have guest speakers. And I happened to be, they called me and said, hey, can you be that person's chaperone? I said, no problem. I'm hospitable that way. I like that. So I go out there and I'm driving around and having a great relationship with him. Fantastic. Now it's time for him to preach. And then he puts out a couple of cards. I think it was 7 cards. And it was 7 traits in the Bible that mean a lot, that represent a huge meaning in the Bible. There's meekness and everything like that. Then he gets down to me, the last card. And then I'm standing there, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get strength or something like that. No. He pulls out a card, says long suffering.
So he was going to different people and pulling out cards as he was talking.
This is yours. This is yours. Yes. This is you. He pulls out a card that says long suffering. I froze.
And you were going through what you're going through already.
Oh, not even yet. It's just that he pulls out long suffering. What do you mean long suffering? Are you like jinxing me here? So he pulls that out, and I was actually upset. I went down in the church downstairs by myself, and I broke down. And I was sitting there like, what do you mean long suffering? I don't want, no. I just got married. What do you mean?
But did you really believe that? Did you really believe?
I did, because I felt it was a message for me. I truly thought it was a message for me. I said, okay, I'm going to offset that by just being professional and doing everything I'm supposed to do, take care of my family, which is my nature, but I did at like a huge percentage. I went up like beyond.
Upped it.
I upped it. And then this happened. And I said, well, you see, when I was going through why me, he was telling me all this.
Yeah.
God was speaking through him to get to me.
Oh, I definitely believe
and telling him to let him know. Yeah. I said, so why is this the most important strength? Why? And I thought of Job and what he went through. Different things in the Bible that he went through. He went through everything, the skin peeling off, everything. And I thought to myself, how can I turn this into a positive? I said, well, I'm going to use my story and talk to people and tell them about my experience. Tell them what I went through, even the lows and the really lows where I felt like I'm down and out.
Right. And what way are you doing this?
Sorry?
What way were you doing this?
By how I present myself, number one, because when they see me, they would have never thought that I was in the situation.
Right.
Never. Until when I told them outright and say, hey, yeah, I do have this, and let me tell you more about it. And then they hear the story, and then they say, well, wow, how do you get through all that? I said, well, I get through with this, and this. This fantastic support that I had, the constant, being your best advocate for information.
Yeah. This is why you're here.
Exactly.
This is why you're here right now. Right.
Exactly. So, and when I see the response from them saying that, wow, I can do this and I can get through my circumstances. Look at you. I have no reason to say something because look what you've gone through and look at you now. And
this is again, and just reaffirmation that when I bring guests here to High Heel, it's because I've heard their story and I see what they're doing now and I see where they are now and I see I understand the suffering that they've felt and I see the healing that they've gone through and the place they are now. And the reason for bringing the guests to the story to High Heel is to show you may have symptoms of, you may have end stage, you may have cancer, and you're suffering, long suffering maybe, but you can find a way through that. You can find a way to live with that and not let it break you. And so this is why the guests are here, to show you why Dennis didn't let it break him, right?
100%, yes.
So you're sharing your story. Have you shared, do you share it in any platform or what do you do? Do you do anything in order to get your story out there, or do you just,
I do.
when you get talking, you get talking?
Yes. Yeah. There are times where, for instance, my in-charge nurse or my doctor would say, hey, would you like to participate in this activity or this survey, help with an initiative, or speak with the Kidney Foundation, or even speak with patients, which I love to do. So they would give me a call for that and say, hey, can you come down on this date, or can you go to the satellite unit here in our region here and speak with an individual?
Right.
So I like doing that because if I had the information going through my circumstances, some of those feelings that I went through may have been avoided as well.
Yeah.
Right?
So you can share it.
Not that I should have gone through it, because I felt that the long suffering that I did go through, understanding all those circumstances, made me a better person today and more equipped to give the information to the individuals that need it. Yeah. And it's really important. There's nothing that I would have taken away.
Yeah.
Since I'm in the situation and I know the situation, I feel more valuable to individuals.
Well, you have
every
something to impart on others now to help them, right?
So that feeling for me, how I want to be needed, it's triple fold.
Yeah. Good.
God's not only going to give you what you can bear. This is what He gave me.
Right.
This is what He's let me go through and bear. Now I'm taking that and preach to those individuals how to handle it.
Right. And so when we talked about the feeling like you wanted to give up, I wanted to ask you about where, obviously you came out of it because you didn't give up, but what were your whys? Like, why did you know that you had to come out of this? Why did you know that you had to fight?
Why I knew I had to fight? Because I have individuals that depend on me to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I have responsibilities for those who see me as their rock or their mentor or their strength to keep that going.
Mm-hmm.
I have responsibility to myself because my self-worth requires that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stubborn that way for a reason, for a good reason, because I do not want to see myself fail at all. And even when I do fail, at least I know how to get back up and walk through it again with the right steps.
Mm-hmm.
You will fail 100% every single time, but that's the only way you're going to learn from it. 100% on that. Because those fails made me a stronger man today.
That's right. That's what happens.
Right.
Builds resiliency.
It does.
100% of the time. I don't want anybody to look out there and say, as I said in the beginning, I've gone through this and I've struggled so much, and I'm weak. No, you don't even understand and realize the strength that you are portraying.
Right.
The fact that you're still here, in and of itself, shows that you're pushing through. Okay, so always remember that. I wanted to touch on, as I spoke about earlier, and this is a very real subject. I've spoken about it myself with having lost both breasts and with my breast cancer, and the intimacy piece.
Right.
If you want to talk about it, I'd love to share how someone that's going through 7 hours a day, a lot of times into the night, on this machine, not this machine, but this machine.
Right.
You're hooked up, then you're tired, then you got to go to work, you come home, you probably focus on kids more than the spouse. How did this play a part, if it did, in affecting? Did it make it better? Did it make it more difficult? How did your wife take and accept all that you're going through that way, in the intimacy part?
Well, she was supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Individuals with kidney failure or any circumstance, sometimes you go through some form of slowing down, or because you're tired, you're weak. I mean, when I mean weak, you can lie down to the bed and literally pass out for about a day and a half, and you won't even know that it's 3 days later. So it does take a toll on your sex life. Period. You need to have a compromising, understanding individual in your corner that will understand the circumstances. Mind you, don't get me wrong, I still did what I had to do, and
you got it done. You got the job done.
I still got to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
If I can, I will. Period. And that's just, I felt it's my responsibility to my wife to make sure she feels loved. Yeah. She feels beautiful. She feels like wanted. Like I tell her even before and even now that, hey, you're beautiful. I cherish you. I love you. And, I do those things because I want her to feel that way. It's not only just saying, but it's doing too.
Absolutely.
It's doing too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because she's been there for me, so I have a responsibility to make sure that's taken care of. It does take a toll on you. Yeah. Because as a man, you feel, okay, wait a minute. That was about 30 seconds. So it's like, wait a minute.
And you're not yourself.
I'm not myself.
Right.
I'm not myself. And I don't want to feel that way. So you feel reluctant to even try. Yeah.
But sometimes I find that when in that area, when certain things are lacking, and you can't do certain things because of the treatment that you're going through, you can't touch here, you can't be rough, not that you want to be rough, but you can't be physical, I should say. It ramps up other areas of showing your intimacy.
Right.
Intimacy doesn't always have to be just about sexual relations, right? As 100%. We well know, right? But a lot of people just equate that, like, okay, I got to satisfy her that way. But no, you find other ways to satisfy.
You're 100% right.
Emotionally and physically. Right?
No, I agree with you. And
not only about her, right? Then there's you too.
Right.
right?
And I think in our circumstances that we understood that.
Yeah.
We understood that there's many different ways. Whether even if it's, hey, let's go out for dinner tonight, right? Hey, let's grab those roses over there and play a game, or tonight instead of doing whatever, let's go over here and try this. Yeah. Hey, remember that shop over there in the corner? Let's go to that shop and grab something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? Those little things that you can do to assist each other or help each other through that, it works wonderful.
Yeah, it's very important to understand that. And caregivers, I'm just going to speak to you for a moment. Spouses, be gentle with the spouse that's dealing with it, but the spouse who is, or the partner who is going through what they're going through, also understand the other side, right? And know that this is, as Dennis mentioned, and as I speak often to, that this is not just something you are dealing with. Everybody that around you that loves you is dealing with it. And even if it's them showing a lack of attention, love, affection, understand that they might not know what to do. They might not know what to say. They might be fearful that they say or do the wrong thing. So their go-to is to just retreat, right? And that's not easy for you, but again, this is new to them as well. So they're learning as well. So a little bit of information, because I definitely know about that. And I know that you can speak to that. So thank you for sharing. I know sometimes people don't like to go there, but it's a very real part of life. And so there's no shame in that. Let's, if we can, talk a bit about being a man and having that responsibility of when your body says something to you, to be responsible enough to go and look about it. Because I've seen too many men and hear about too many that just don't like to go to the doctor. Right. And what I always say to that, especially to my husband, is that it's not only you. If you're ill and something's going on inside your body and you find out too late, it's not only you that's going to be possibly saying bye-bye. You know what I mean? We're going to suffer. Right. And moreover than that, why wouldn't you want to get a handle on anything that's going on in your body ahead of time? Right. So what do you say about that? And what do you say about what men, how they need to take a better stand in their health? The eating, the food that you eat, the drinking, things like that.
My dad used to say, if you don't hear, you feel.
No, Jamaican term. Well, not only Jamaican, but I'm sure.
God bless his soul.
Yeah.
He used to say that for a reason, because sometimes he was a perfect example of an individual that never went to the doctors for anything. Period. Because old Jamaican mentality say, you're going to go to the hospital, you're going to end up dead. Right? They're going to do something to you. They're going to poison you. But that's not the case. That's not the case. So many men will ignore everything they're going through for their own pride.
Pride. I was going to say, is it a pride thing?
For their own pride. Yeah. Saying that, hey, I'm good. I can get through anything. It's just, just give me 2 Tylenol. I'm good. That's not the case. There could be underlying circumstances that you're going through that needs immediate attention, because that's just the beginning of what you're going through. All right? Or is it far gone? Do you want to wait for it to be far gone? No, you don't. You don't. The alternative is death. Yep. Period. You have to have faith in the doctors, faith in the people that love you, because they're not going to tell you something that's going to hurt you. Individuals that stuck by you from the beginning till now are only looking out for your best interest. So the only thing you can do is satisfy that obligation. You're not in it by yourself. You're not. My situation and the situation is case in point. You're not in it by yourself. So have a responsibility to those individuals who care for you to go and take care of yourself, because they need you here. They need you 100%.
Yeah, you just answered the last statement to the last question that I asked you to do, is to look into the camera and speak to the audience and tell them. So thank you for that. A good message. Very, very important. And again, not only for men, but for everybody. But I do find that a lot of men suffer. And that's why I'm so happy to have you here to talk about that and to show them, it's like there's no shame in the game of something's going on inside my body, let me go take care of it. Like, why not take care of it? At the end of the day, it's gonna help you to have a longer, healthier life and to keep you here for the loved ones to celebrate and enjoy the things that we all want to do and look forward to. So, talking about God and why me's, I think you eventually got through the stage of why me, and you were just trudging along and understanding that you have a mission. And so that being said, some years ago, God did come through for you, which he does every day when you wake up, but he came through for you and said, you know what, Dennis, I have a gift.
It's your time.
Tell me about that.
So in 2021, I got a call from the hospital, and they said, "Hello, is this Mr. Pellington?" I said, "Yes." They says, "Well,
what a storyteller, eh?
I know, sorry.
Get to the point, will you?
My bad. So he told me, "Dennis, you have a transplant waiting here for you. You're the number one contestant for this. So come to the hospital now."
Yay.
I was shocked.
So they had a kidney for you?
They had a kidney transplant.
Live or deceased?
And that's a good question.
Okay, because as I said that, I'm like, can you take a kidney from a live person?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay.
So in my case, it was that.
Yeah.
It was an individual that came off the street and said, "Hey, I'm going to donate one of my kidneys."
Come on.
I'm serious. There are people out there like that matched me like almost 100%.
I'm going to cry right now.
And said, "Well, I want to donate. I want to give this to another willing person." So they called me and said, "I'm a match," because before you get a transplant, they do transplant workup for years. Just make sure all the details are in order. So they matched me. So I went in, but I was almost reluctant because I lived with kidney failure for so long. I became so used to it. I was so used to the treatments. I had it mapped out to the T. Every step, and I mapped out so much that I felt so used to it, so familiar with it, so comfortable.
Yeah.
So I went down there anyway, and I ended up having the transplant. So today, yes, I do still have that transplant, and it's still working with me. Yes, I do need to take anti-rejection pills daily. It's for the existence of the kidney. So as long as you have a kidney transplant, you must take these pills.
Anti-rejection, so your body doesn't reject that outside kidney.
Initially dumbing your immune system down in order for your system to not reject that foreign object that's in your body. Because the body's natural tendency is to reject anything that's foreign.
Right.
So that's what it's doing. So those pills reject that, period.
Okay.
So now it accepts the kidney. So now I've been living with the kidney transplant since 2001.
2001, 2011.
21, sorry.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Compliance. Want to make sure that you're compliant with your pills, compliant with your appointments. So if there's anything that's offset with those readings that they get from your blood work, at least they can catch it in time. Like I said, nothing is a permanent fix, but this is a great fix because what I felt before and during dialysis is night and day to what I feel now. The kidneys are huge, just huge organ that takes care of your system. Because I felt so normal. I felt like what I was doing before was my normal feeling. That's how long I've been doing it for.
Yeah.
And that's what transplant individuals, whether it be kidney, liver, whatever it is, they get so used to that.
Yeah.
So once you get that transplant, cherish it, take care of it.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
You see the difference.
That's a gift. That's golden.
You feel the difference.
Yeah. And so, do you know what it's like for a person that gives away? You have two kidneys, right?
A normal person has two kidneys.
Right.
Yes.
How when they give away one, do you know anything about what they would go through after that? What they might suffer, or if?
Yes. Well, the only situation that the individual who donates goes through is just the after pain of the transplant, because your kidneys are usually right around the lower, like mid back area. So when they remove that, there's an incision that's made behind the back, remove that kidney, and actually cauterize the actual vein that's there that was going to the kidney. So that's the main pain, just a rehabilitation process. Now, living with one kidney, anybody can live with one kidney. It's perfectly suffice for an individual like yourself or anybody else that's on the road. But God gave us two. So it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm living with. I'm living with one transplant, one kidney transplant, and the body's perfectly fine to accept that.
Because your other one is still there, it's just not working?
Yeah, they don't remove those.
Yeah.
They don't remove those. They get smaller. Before your kidneys are about maybe this size, well, yay big. Then it goes down to literally like yay size. It really reduces.
Wow.
Probably because it's not working. It's not being required to work.
Right. Nothing's filtering.
Right, nothing's filtering through.
Right. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, very good. And congratulations to you. And God bless that
Thank
person, that man that just wanted to donate.
Yeah.
And were you on a list waiting? Because
Yes.
you decided that you would go through that process.
Yes.
Right.
If you are a candidate, you have to say, yes, I would like to be on the transplant list. That transplant list is about 7 to 10 years long. So the more people that donate, the better that is. Right. So that card, your license, the question would ask you if you would like to donate. If
I donate. Well, I'm a donor.
Thank you very much. And that goes to show that individuals are out there that do donate, and you have to celebrate them because there's thousands and thousands of individuals out there waiting for those.
My goodness, like if you pass away, especially unexpectedly or not, what's happening with your organs? Nothing. Right. Why not give it to somebody that God has chosen to still allow to be here?
Right.
Your time is up for whatever reason it is. Why waste?
Right.
Perfectly good organs.
100% agree.
Right. So I'm like, just take them. And so if you haven't done that, look at your driver's license or go to the Ontario, what is it called? Service Center.
Right.
Change what it says on your driver's license in case anything happens that you will donate. You can donate.
I encourage everybody to do that.
For sure. So I see like you're really great at talking period, speaking period. But as a male advocate, and when it comes to health, healing, mental well-being, I don't find that there's a ton of them. Right? And you go on social media, you see a lot of women doing this and saying that and talking about their mental health and I'm not well today, oh, I'm better, this is what I'm doing to be better. I feel like you would be really great at that. And I really encourage you to use social media as a platform for that. I think a lot of men could gain a lot of insight from you and support from you. But how important do you think it is that more men show more vulnerability and open up more about their struggles?
It's very important. It's huge important because the more you open up, the more information you give out there so people can actually assist. You could be going through, a man could be going through so many different things mentally and that they're struggling with on a day-to-day basis. And they just don't know how to deal with it. Yeah. Like I said, with even the ED&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion, there's so many avenues, there's so many individuals that may have the circumstances that you may be going through. Yeah. If you share those experiences, then those individuals who are going through those experiences can reach out to you. Yeah. Hey, this is what I went through, exact same thing. Here's what I did. There's an option for you. Yeah. It'd be less mental illnesses out there if you just open up a bit more, especially in men, because they feel that they have to take those burdens on and just swallow it. Yeah. It's not the case. Especially for men. You really don't have to. Yeah. If men can just truly open themselves up and be vulnerable sometimes, it would save them all the anguish and the emotional distress and the anger. Because sometimes it's just anger too. Yeah. And you just penned in. Yeah, they don't. And the first vulnerable person that you may see that's your cushion may take the brunt of that. And now what does that person get? Right. The exact same situation that you're in. Yeah. So why add to that whole cycle of negativity? Share your thoughts, share your opinions. Absolutely. And counseling is great for anybody, but a lot of men feel like, well, if I can't help myself, then no one else can help me. But that's not the truth. Right. Have them as a sounding board, an unbiased sounding board, to bounce off what you're dealing with. They may delve back into your
childhood, into things that you went through that you don't think, you know, is playing a role in how how you're behaving or how you're acting, or things that you are not doing for that matter. You know, just having someone to talk to, it's really important.
Right.
And if it's not a counselor, then a good friend that, you know, has a pretty good head on their shoulders that can, again, be unbiased and tell you like it is, tell you the truth.
Right.
It's really important. I'm going to go into some statistics and some facts here, but I want to, again, because this is informational as well, my interviews, and I wanted to just talk about, just give you some symptoms again. So if any of these symptoms, again, I always throw out a disclaimer out there that I am not a medical doctor. I know nothing about it from what I learned here today with my guests and with the research that I do on my own. But what I like to do is share what I've learned. And if you're feeling anything, if you're concerned about anything, always consult your own medical doctor. But signs and symptoms of end-stage renal kidney failure, general ill, apart from what Dennis said, and some of those will probably be here. General ill feeling and fatigue, itching, which they call pruritus,
Right.
And dry skin, headache, weight loss without trying, loss of appetite, nausea, diabetes, and high blood pressure are leading causes.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Okay. I'm light bulbs is going off right now because I haven't spoken about this quite yet, but my son, who's 16, has been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And I'm going to get into a whole topic of conversation about that one day, but I'd like for him to be here when we do that. But it's good information to know.
Right.
And the kidneys may slowly stop working during a period of 10 to 20 days before end-stage disease results.
Right.
Okay.
Do you know what that means? When the kidneys stop working, you know what happens? I'll let you know. So when it says a kidney stop working, it means your kidneys stop filtering, stop working. You may urinate a little bit, but it reduces to nothing. You do not urinate if your kidneys have failed.
Oh, okay.
So that means all that extra liquid that you take in stays within. You cannot excrete it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe sometimes through your sweat, but it's not enough to the amount of liquid you need to let out, which means all those toxins are still in your body, the liquids in your body, which is why dialysis is very important for dialysis patients who don't have a transplant. That also filters the liquid out, takes the liquid out of your system because you can't urinate. So in a way, it's pulling out the urine. So if for instance, if some of the symptoms that she's talking about, if you start to feel like tingling in your feet and your like lower extremities are starting to swell, even sometimes it's a lack of output that you're putting out, which can also be an issue with your kidney function. So be mindful of that.
Okay. So would you sometimes then see swelling? That's what you just said, right?
So like an edema, where doctors sometimes they'll have your leg up like this, and they say they'll press on your leg like this,
and you'll see white.
Not only that, but it'll still stay sunk in.
Wow.
Right, that's how bad it gets. If you put your finger there and it stays down, you'll see a little divot in your foot. That means you have so much liquid on your system. Natural tendency for liquid or anything is to go down to the lower extremities. It's gravity. So if you're standing a lot, it's going to travel to your feet, which is why your lower extremities always swell. Sometimes you get in your hands too, because it's the furthest thing closest to the floor. So be mindful of those things.
Yeah. Right. Wow. Thank you for that. Diet, getting enough calories if you're losing weight. So now that once you've been diagnosed and you're going through your treatment plan, these are just some things that they're saying to add regarding your diet. Limiting fluids?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know
why?
Limiting fluids is where you got to make sure that you watch your input. You have to limit your input of liquid because of the situation. So if you're drinking a lot, you're going to retain a lot.
Okay.
So that means you're going to be that much bloated. And sometimes what happens is you start to, if you're lying down or walking, you can't breathe well. It's because there's liquid on your lungs.
Oh, I see.
That liquid just literally sits in you, drowning from within.
Wow.
Yeah. If you have that much liquid, there was one point where I had maybe about close to 30 pounds of liquid extra on my body. If you know, my normal catch weight, which your catch weight is your dry weight, is my at the time was 85 kilograms. I was at 110. Yeah.
But that extra was liquid.
Extra just liquid.
Wow.
I found out that I had kidney failure.
Yeah.
110 kilograms. That's over like close to like 200 and something pounds. 230 something pounds. So I mean, that's a lot of liquid, extra liquid you have in your system. And the only place is going to go either low into your lungs.
Limiting salt, potassium, phosphorus, and other electrolytes.
Right.
And eating foods low in protein.
Right.
Why the low in protein?
Low in protein because it has more toxins in protein. Right.
Meat.
Exactly. More toxins in it. It's more. It promotes it, and plus it has a lot of sugar in it. So you don't want to have so much sugar in your system because it also helps. It also it retains liquid. Forces you to retain liquid, just like salt. Forces you to retain liquid. In regards to bananas and things like potassium or oranges, you have to be mindful of those things because it is high in potassium and phosphorus. The higher the phosphorus or potassium, it can stop your heart. The lower it is, if it's too low, it can also stop your heart. You can die from those things.
Wow. And
with your kidneys, that function is to filter out and just take the right amount of that stuff in your system.
Right, so why make it harder?
So why make it harder?
Yeah. Dr. D in the house. I'm going to give you a few statistics that I found. This is from a paper called Facing the Facts from the Canadian Organ Replacement Register. 1 in 10 Canadians have kidney disease, which is actually 4 million people. Wow. The number of people living with end-stage kidney disease has grown 35% since 2009 until 2020. That's going up.
Yeah. Huge.
Of the patients on dialysis, more than 3/4 are receiving institutional hemodialysis, meaning going into the hospital too. Right. A person can lose more than 50% of their kidney function before symptoms appear. How much do you think, or did the doctors ever say, were you at like almost zero of one of yours or two of yours? Like
of the function of my kidneys?
Yeah, because
when they found out that I was losing my kidney function, I was at 3%.
Wow. It's huge.
Yeah.
The 5-year survival rate for adults with transplanted kidneys from living donors is 88%, so that's a good number.
Right.
And 81% from deceased donors. The general rule of thumb is that kidney function begins to decline at the age of 40 and declines at about a rate of 1% per year beyond age 40. Rates are different for different individuals, of course. And then this information is from the Canadian Institute for Health Information. Every year, the rate of Canadians who start renal replacement therapy because of kidney failure rises by 1.6% on average. And I'm giving these facts. There's a lot of facts, but I pulled out certain ones because I think it means that we need to look deeper and pay attention more to what our bodies are telling us. Because rates are only going higher. What does that mean? You know, people are, well, it could be hereditary, or that people are not doing the right things for their body.
Right.
And the number of Canadians receiving chronic dialysis nearly doubled over 20 years, from 11,600 in 2000 to 23,000 in 2019.
I feel
what's happening?
I feel that people are doing what's convenient.
Yeah.
For them at the moment.
Yeah.
What's easier is better.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
That's what's
healthier
for us. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not necessarily healthy. So you're working all day, you're going home, or say you're going home, and also on the way, convenience is right there. And let me just go in there and grab a burger or something like that, or some kind of fast food or Chinese food or something like that. Listen, it doesn't matter what it is.
Not only that, but even like things like you're sleeping at nighttime, and I think about this a lot, and I have to do better because I wonder about the effects later in life. When I sleep at night, if I wake up and I have to go to the bathroom, I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up and run to the bathroom because it's going to break my sleep, and I want to sleep. I got 2 more hours of good sleep for me. And I hold it and I hold it and I hold it. And like, I know that's a bladder issue, but I wonder if that also could be correlated into potential problems with the kidney later down the road. You know what I mean? Like, those are little things that like I know that I should do better, because of having breast cancer. I mean, everything in moderation too. Like, I don't go crazy with everything. Some things are hard, yes or no, but I definitely pay more attention to the things I put in my body. You know, exercising regularly, just, you know, certain things that, you know, I've been told that are going to help.
Right.
So those are key. I'm going to give some informational groups and resources, because again, information here is always great, but you know, you also do your own research. National Kidney Foundation, so kidney.org. The Kidney Foundation of Canada, the Ontario branch is kidney.ca. The Mayo Clinic, and then just put end-stage kidney disease in the search box. So again, mayoclinic.org. Support groups, always important. Peer support, the Kidney Foundation of Canada, and that's again found under kidney.ca. If you want to make a request for peer support on the site, just use the online form, or you can call 1-866-390-7337 to speak with the program coordinator. Your Facebook groups are always great. Chronic Kidney Disease Support Group, facebook.com, go to /groups/CKD support. Kidney Health Education and Research Group at the University Health Network and University of Toronto. So we are in, anybody that's watching this from out of Canada, we are in Toronto. So this is specifically for the hospitals in Toronto. This is where the research information is coming from. But anybody obviously can go online. And it's NEF for Frank, so N for Nancy, E, F for Frank, ROS for Sam.net. They are committed to helping patients with chronic kidney disease, their families, and clinicians through innovative, patient-centered outcomes, research, and health education. So I always like to give the floor to my guests to give a final word. Dennis kind of already did. I'm afraid to give him the floor because he doesn't say anything minimal, but I'm giving you another 30 seconds. Okay, so go. Time's
30
up.
seconds. 30 seconds of Dennis Pellington. I don't know, I just want to celebrate you, to be honest with you.
Oh, thank you.
I love your platform. I love the audience that you have. I'm one of your biggest fans.
Oh, thank you.
As I've told you many times, I watch your podcasts. The content is precise and on point. It's such a professionalism in that it fires me up to do better and do more. Like I said, keep up that fantastic work, because they depend on your energy, your fire, your light, right? Because their day to day could be glum, really glum that day, and just by your word or your message that you put out there. I listen to the message that you put on your Instagram every day.
I see you there. Yeah.
For just insight, just to get through my day. Sometimes it's really bad. You don't know how much people you touch. Telling you, so keep that up, please.
Thank you.
That's my 30 seconds. Okay.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely do love speaking and putting information out there. And a lot of times when I put a post or just a quote out there, it may not be mine, but it could be someone else's. But I'm going through, I'm scrolling, and it resonates with me, so I will share. Because if it's resonating with me, then it's definitely going to resonate with so many others. And sometimes people just need to hear certain things at the right time.
Right.
And then I'll get messages back like, I so needed that today.
Exactly.
So I always find that I might be having bad days, but as I scroll through and I see somebody else's post, it makes me feel better. So if I can do that in turn, then why not? I think the world would be such a better place if everybody did things like that. So thank you for that. And
Okay.
thank you everybody for being here, for taking the time to watch and listen, and laugh and joke and cry with me and our guests here at the High Heel Diaries talk show. And I promise to keep bringing you more guests. But if there's a lull in between, just know that there's a reason, but there's some other things moving and shaking. Pay attention to what's going on my my website, highheeldiaries.com. All my social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, it all is under High Heel Diaries. So heel is HEAL because it's all about healing. And lots of things happening. There's lots of, I tend to get in my moods where I just feel like I need to write stories because of something I'm feeling or something that somebody else and I have chatted about. So there's blogs there, my other interview guests, any other media content that I've been a part of, always so informational. So please take some time and have a look and like, share, and take from anything that I or my guests talk about. I hope you take something positive from it, and that's all I want at the end of the day. So thank you once again for being here, where we are women and men, inspiring women and men, one story at a time. Bye.
Thank you.